The following is a presentation of the IH Sports Network. You're listening to the Monday Night Roundtable. For the next 2 hours, we'll talk local high school sports with the voice of the Oneida Indians, Tim Smith.
10-5, touchdown, Indians.
Give me the corners. 2 scores, baby.
Give me the corners.
The voice of the Scott Highlanders, Rick Keaton.
Throw the ball, has a receiver long upfield, chasing it down. Pitch made by Rylan Griffith. He'll take it all the way to the end zone.
Produced by the IH Sports Network, the Roundtable begins now.
Good Monday evening, everybody. Welcome to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network. We are live from the C. Michael Lay Technology Center in Helenwood alongside the voice of the Oneida Indians, Tim Smith, the voice of the Scott Highlanders, Rick Keaton. I'm Ben Garrett. Thank you for joining us. We're going to talk high school sports across the next couple of hours. We've got a couple of guests from Oneida who will be with us tonight. We've got a couple of guests from Scott High who will be with us. We've got a couple of coaches who will be with us. We've got the champion of our pigskin picking panel who is here. I don't know if we can get him on or not, but he's here, and I'm sure he's ready to gloat.
Fit through the door, to be honest.
And that's true. As always,
I did notice. I do want to point this out. He wanted what he got 79 correct. And that's only 3 behind what Jace Lau did about 5 years ago, I saw in my memory. So, I mean, that's, it's kind of a win.
How much did he win by? What was the final gap to number 2?
It's more than anybody. Yeah.
He won by 1 game.
Yeah. It's more than anybody got this year. I mean, it's certainly not an all-time record.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what do you think?
Just want to be clear about that.
And Tim,
yes.
Friday night, Oneida goes down to Bledsoe County. We knew Bledsoe was going to be a tough opponent. I think we talked about defense, Oneida's defense Friday night. If you had told me that Bledsoe was going to shut out Oneida, maybe I wouldn't have been too surprised. If you had told me that Bledsoe was going to put up 300-plus yards on the ground, I would have been shocked. I would have said, no way. Bledsoe just had a very good football team, both sides of the football.
I mean, it was kind of like watching York again. It seemed like those blue helmets, the blue and gold of Bledsoe, just always got a good push. They were always leaning forward. The running backs were falling forward, tremendous effort from that team. They were a strong team, and it just seemed like we struggled to find a way to even slow that down. And then, of course, offensively, didn't really give ourselves a chance. We had a good first drive offensively. Made some big plays on that drive, though. I mean, some big catches and a very fortuitous catch that kind of sailed over Hayden Bronner and waiting there patiently for it was Landon Lindbergh, which was nice. But there were some big plays on that drive. We got down, and Coach May pointed out we were actually lining up to attempt a field goal. And Oneida has not lost a game in which they put points on the board this year. So they were going to line up for a field goal, and it had a false start. It pushed it from a 42 to I think it was going to be a 42, from a 42 to a 47. And they elected to just go for it, didn't get it. And really, after that first drive, there wasn't much of a threat the rest of the night from the Indians, just a few positives here and there. But it wasn't even something that really you can blame penalties on or, anything like that. It was just Bledsoe was very much at home, literally and figuratively, and they just they were in control.
It was only a 2-score game at halftime, but even at that, it just felt like that unless Oneida could do something, maybe create a turnover, do something to turn the tide, it was going to be tough to come back in that game. They did get the turnover late, but the game had been decided by that point. I was thoroughly impressed with Bledsoe County.
That's what you got to come away with, I think, when looking at Bledsoe, because, I mean, they're a 2-loss team. They lost to York by 10 at Jamestown, and then they lost to Sequatchie County, which is going to be playing this week and probably going to be playing the week after that and doing really well. So, I mean, they've got 2 quality losses. They've handled everything else, and they look like they're getting better, peaking right now. So, I mean, it could be – I don't want to disrespect anybody out of Region 1, but, I mean, Hampton wins the region there. I haven't seen Hampton this year, but, I mean, it's hard for me to see Bledsoe and York not somehow finding their way back to each other. I think it would be a pretty huge upset. Not monumental, but a pretty huge upset if that's not where it winds up being, those two playing to probably get the right to be in the Final Four against Marion County, I would think.
Yeah, of course, Oneida would like to have something to say about that because that means they win at Happy Valley this week. And if they do that, they'll get a shot at York next week. Well,
I mean, you look back at the York game, and the Indians defensively held them to 3 scores. And it was almost similar to this Bledsoe game, but York was able to move the ball and be in control. Didn't feel like they were threatened a lot that night because the offense was unable to find a way to penetrate the Dragons' defense with any steady success that would suggest there's going to be points put up on the board. And also, these two teams didn't turn it over. They didn't give you a chance because they didn't hand you the football in the wrong place or make big penalties. So as long as they can continue to do that, I think those two have to be favorites. And the Indians will just try to go to Happy Valley this Friday night, and that's going to be a big test in itself. They're similar to Hampton and those teams over there. They're going to, and Bledsoe and York, they're going to line up and try to run the football, so we'll see what happens.
All right, Oneida Happy Valley Friday night. We'll talk more about that later on. Rick, Thursday night, Scott High at Austin East. Playoff spot still on the line for one of these two football teams, and for the first half it looked like two teams that very much wanted to be in the playoffs. Scott High played really well. You look at the final score, 60-28, and you say, man, that was a skull-dragging, right? Well, Scott High led for most of the first half, did not trail until about 4 minutes into the third quarter, and even then, on the final play of the third quarter, it's still a 28-21 ball game. But once Scott High ran out of gas in the fourth quarter, Austin East showed no interest in taking their foot off the gas at all, and they just ran away with it.
Well, Ben, I think one of the things that we look at is the Highlander defense really outplayed the AE defense in the first half. You look at, we held them on downs. We had a block punt, scoop and score for a touchdown. So, like I said, we held them twice on downs. So the defense played very well for the Highlanders. With some time left in the second quarter, Austin East did something that I noticed right away. They started really spreading the field more. They were going trips real wide, single receiver back to the other side. They were trying to spread out the linebackers a little bit and force the Highlander defense to walk their safeties outside to maybe help cover the trips in that regard. And then you just ran into some of the athletes that Austin East has. I thought in the game, all the way up to the end, I thought the Highlanders did just a really good job of 4 shirts, Highlander shirts, getting to the ball carriers. However, they were just so elusive doing the spin moves and twists. We'd have a shirt like this, and they would spin right out of it. A classic example of that would be the opening kickoff of the third quarter. After playing 14-all in the first half, we had to kick off to Austin East. I think I call it on air. They walked their returners way up to the 20-yard line. And I thought, hey, you can kick that over the head. So the coaches did that. He lined it up, kicked it off. The ball bounced at the 1-yard line. It did not roll into the end zone. It sort of rolled back into the field a little bit. Allen for AE picked it up. We had 4 or 5 guys converge on him inside the 5-yard line. We were in position to make the tackle, could not contain, as he would just spin out and break free of the hand tackles on the jerseys. I think that one went for 65 yards. It set them up for a good field position at the Highlander 34-yard line at that time. So, I mean, if I'm a Highlander player, I'm getting real frustrated in the second half. We've tried hard. We've played hard. We were down several players, down a lot of linebackers. Youngsters were playing that had not played many snaps in the season. So they were trying real hard. Credit to Austin East. They found a way to exploit us a little bit, and they did that. I just think, and I got on my notes, there's just a lot of hustle by the Scott defense. Proud of those guys. And, yeah, that score looks a lot worse than it was. And two of the strangest things that happened in that game was the end of the first quarter and the end of the third quarter, where the Highlanders on the last play of each one of those quarters committed a penalty, which gave Austin East one untimed down. And I believe that they scored on both of those untimed plays. And otherwise, the Highlanders would have had that 14-7 first half lead. Quite possibly, and maybe would have held off some of that onslaught there in the second half by Austin East. But It's the fact that we went out. I felt we competed, and the score doesn't show it. Statistically, it doesn't show it, but you're looking at one of the best games the Highlanders have had this year, scoring 28 points. That's our second highest total of any game. So, I mean, I thought they played well. It's a shame we didn't play that well against some earlier season opponents.
It really felt like going into that game, Scott High would struggle to match Austin East's speed. They didn't struggle with the speed so much as they struggled with tackling, and Coach Charles Golden. Yes, Charles Golden talked about it after the game. Defensive coordinator Scott High said we've got to learn how to tackle better, and that was really the key in the game. And as you know, obviously, as any team gets tired in football, that's just a characteristic of getting tired. You start to reach a little bit and not make tackles that you were making earlier in the game, and that's really what cost Scott High in the long run.
Yeah, and we're sitting there in the third quarter, maybe the fourth quarter, when it really started to mount up. Early in the fourth quarter, we're sitting there thinking, well, gee whiz, Austin East, why don't you take that all-state basketball player out of the lineup? He might get hurt, and the basketball coach won't like you.
Yeah, save him for Tim Smith here in a few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, but they left him in for, I guess, halfway through the fourth quarter, and he's just an exceptional athlete. Him and Ligon, the tailback, just very good athletes.
Yeah, and Austin East poured it on then in the fourth quarter with 5 fourth-quarter touchdowns to put that game away and then some. So, guys, in addition to Thursday night football and Friday night football, we had Saturday afternoon football. We had championship games at Campbell County. When we come back from this break, we'll bring in Oneida Middle School head coach Jason Terry and talk about the Indians' big win over Rockwood. Welcome back to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network. He's Tim Smith. He's Rick Keaton. I'm Ben Garrett. And this gentleman is Jason Terry, the Area 2 championship-winning coach, Jason Terry. And, Tim, you were over at Campbell County on Saturday afternoon. Huntsville played first against Coalfield. Great game. They led that game all the way up until the fourth quarter. And then Coalfield, they showed why they were the number one team coming in. Really good Coalfield football team. They came back. They won it 22-12. And then Oneida. Jason, I don't think you would mind me saying, first game of the season against Rockwood, you guys got boat raced a little bit. So maybe folks who were tuning in said, well, here we go again. But no, you guys played a heck of a football game. You get the win in exciting fashion, Tim, the pick six at the end to seal it.
Absolutely, yeah. I do want to say, just to know, I don't know how much you saw of the Huntsville game.
Bits and pieces here and there.
But I just want to say the Bears, it was neat to me. It was so similar. You had Coalfield was 9-0. The Bears were 5-3. They had 3 losses, but everybody they lost to was represented Saturday right there in the place. And Coach Profit did such a great job with his play calling and mixing it up, and had that team. Late in the third quarter, they had the lead, and it looked like they were going to go in for another score, and they had a turnover. And in those games that are so middle school games go quickly, and that magnifies the turnovers greater than anything, and it was just a shame because those kids, they were ready. They had a plan, and they believed they were going to take down this Coalfield team, and they almost did. And then but we saw a 9-0 Coalfield team find a way to go to 10-0 and win that championship. And then your game comes up, and it's almost the exact same type of thing. You guys are 5-3. You've played this Rockwood team before, and Rockwood's 9-0. I want to ask you a question. If you put the shoe on the other foot, if you're the Rockwood coach, and I mentioned this during the game, how hard is it to convince your team, yeah, you beat them first game of the year. You beat them 36-6. But that's not the team you're getting ready to play here right now. Don't you feel like that was a very hard thing for, is it Coach Kyle?
Coach Harvey?
Coach Harvey, I'm sorry, yeah. Coach Harvey, yeah. Don't you think that, I know you're not feeling sorry for somebody that goes 9-0, but that is tough, right, with middle school kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know, speaking on behalf of my team, I don't want to speak for him, but it is tough. Anytime you play a team twice in the same year, there's that stigma, hey, we handled them pretty good, and Rockwood did the first game of the season. It was a 36-6, and if the truth be known, it may not have been that close. Yeah. They were a really good team that night, and they were a great team throughout the whole year. So we knew we had our work cut out for us. Did they overlook us? I'm not going to speak for them. I just know that we came to play that day. So
well, and another thing that the Coalfield coach told us in the post game, he said, his kids on the sideline, one thing he had to keep doing was saying, now don't get down, and he said that's with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. That's as much of your battle as the X's and O's is don't get down and magnify when things don't go right. So I say that because you kick off to Rockwood. Rockwood takes the football and goes straight down the field, gets a touchdown on a 2-point conversion. How did you keep your team from being like, oh, here we go again?
We just got them over there. We told them all week long, we knew we were facing an extremely talented football team, well coached, and like you said, 9-0. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, and we're going to experience both within this game. So don't get too high, don't get too low, and let's go. Now, obviously, you never want to give up 8 points on your first drive, but we called them over, calm down, we're in this. Let's put a drive together and let's see where the cards fall. And we were able to go down and score. So, and that was huge. So,
who are some of your team leaders that as 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, or players on the team, that as players calm everybody else down and exert that leadership? Do you have some guys that you can count on to settle everybody in?
I'm not going to say I have those calming effects, but we have leaders. Brylan Strunk, Kanan Shoemaker, Connor Mays, Carter Daugherty, Marion Kidd. The names you called the other day. They've all been there all with me for 3 years. They played hard. They worked hard. As far as calming, I'm not sure any of them calm anybody down, but they do a great job.
And so during the game, what was a point where you were at your lowest? I mean, as a coach, you were like, oh, this is not good.
Well, honestly, it was after that first series.
Yeah.
Knowing the result from week 1, like you said, they handled this pretty well. They go down and immediately score, and we're down 8-0. Things could have gone one of two ways right there. Or, we could have laid down and quit, and it could have been a long night. But they fought. We came back. And I'm thinking at that particular time, look, and we told our coaches, we got to find a way to keep it close at the end, and then let's see what happens. So at that particular moment, I was a little, what are we going to do now?
Well, you talked about this Saturday, and this team. Every team's different. Every team carries himself differently, and you push different buttons. But you've had time to think about it. Was this the hardest work you've done to coach a team ever this year? I mean, to take this team from where it started to the Area 2 championship, was this the hardest coaching year you've had?
No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that you hit the nail on the head. Every team's different. And this team was challenging, just like last year's team was challenging too. But coaching's finicky. Different kids respond different ways, and you just got to find that happy medium and get the best that you can get out. That's what we get paid for, and that's what we're supposed to do. So we're trying to get the best, and with each group it's different. But we go to work every day as a staff, on the weekends watching film, come in with practice schedules and game plans, and we prepare the same every week. So did they try me a little bit? Absolutely, but no harder than any other team. 22
starters, 11 on offense, 11 on defense. How many did you bring back this year?
That we started this year?
From last year to this year.
One on each side of the ball.
Okay, so out of 22.
Out of 22, 20.
So next year, what's it going to be?
We got some experience this year. We had to play some young kids along the way, a lot of 7th graders, even a couple 6th graders, so meaningful minutes this year. So I feel good.
That's good. What about the guys you're losing? Are there any ready to come in and contribute right away to the high school team, like we've seen Xander Lau do this year, and throughout the year we've seen some others step in and fill that role? Or are any of these guys ready to go next year, or is it more project work, going to have to sit a little bit?
That's totally on them, Tim. You know that as well as I do. We try to give them a foundation, a base. What they do from now until next summer, that's on them. If they'll hit the weight room, if they'll go and listen, take the coaching, absolutely there's some kids that can get out on the field. But they're going to have to do the work.
All right. You guys got some questions?
Well, I'm just going to say that I could have answered that question for him, because I remember him sitting at Delray last year, and you asked him the same question, and he answered it the same way. So nobody can say Jason Terry's not genuine. They might try, but yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask, Tim just alluded to it, I think, the makeup of your team this year, 8th, 7th, and 6th graders, because last year you did lose a bunch, and it took 9 or 10 games this year to get a season's worth of experience, and obviously it showed as they played in the championship game. So what's your makeup best that you can recall, Jason?
Make it.
8th graders, 7th, and 6th graders.
I lose 11 8th graders. I do know that. Probably 15, 7, 26. So the younger classes have quite a few coming. So,
Tim, I'm sure you're going to ask Jason about his other championship that he recently won.
Yeah, we talked about this. Within a calendar year, it's a very rare thing when someone is, I'll say, the author or the architect of 3 state championships. I mean, you can see that happening. It used to be head football coaches were girls basketball coaches. Lots of times we saw that with Coach May or whatever. Mm-hmm. But to get 3 state championships within a calendar year, that's impressive. And some people may not know what we're talking about. They know about the middle school championship last year, and which was almost a coronation. You all had just a great year, and but you have to do it. I mean, nobody gets a coronation because we saw that with 2 9-0 teams Saturday. But then you get one this year, but there was one in the middle, and Greg's got a picture of it right here. You had a state record pumpkin. Now, how many times have you had the state record pumpkin?
I've broke the record a couple times. It's been broken from me, so I think I've had it. Over the past 7, 8 years, I've held it all but 1 year. So,
now, what is the secret? So that all of us can go home and grow a state level pumpkin. What do we have to do? Are you going to give that secret away, or are you just going to keep it?
You got to have large pumpkin seeds.
There you go.
You can't have a regular pumpkin seed. You got to have the large pumpkin seeds. Because I've asked him that question before.
Well, I know the answer. The secret is Bruce Terry.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and so that, which would lead to another question, and that is Bruce is. You called it the architect. Bruce is the architect of these record pumpkins. We know that. Why have you stolen the glory from him?
No, I'm not. He did get us into it many years ago. He was like you said, the first one that started, and got to watching him and enjoying it, being around him. And then I was like, hey, let's give this a shot. So got into it, really enjoyed it. It's something to take your mind off, go out in the garden for 30, 45 minutes a day and just relax.
Is it time consuming?
Very.
Very?
Very. If you're not putting an hour a day in, you're not going to
Does the plateau climate help better than the valley? I mean, would it be harder to grow one of these in Knoxville than it is here with our weather? Is that got anything to do with it?
The farther north you go, the better the climate.
Okay.
Pumpkin plants are very finicky. They like certain temperatures, and so that's why you see a lot of the big ones growing in Minnesota and Wisconsin and the upper United States.
How many giant pumpkins are you trying to grow a season?
I usually start out with 2 or 3 plants, hoping to get one to Allard. That's the plan.
So I know that you guys you shade them from the sun. You make sure they don't get too much rain. You put your covers over them and shade them from the rain or whatever. Do you sing to them at night?
I don't.
Hey, serious question though. I saw your dad. I've seen his comments. I know he wants to get to a 1-ton pumpkin. It's never been a 1-ton pumpkin in Tennessee. I don't know. There has been in North America.
Yes.
The world record I know is over a ton.
The national record was just set a couple of weeks ago, like 26, 28,
27.49.
Yeah.
So when you're on your way between the two of you and then your brother as well, one of you are going to get that 1-tonner. When is it going to happen?
I promise.
Think you're close?
Very soon.
Yeah. All right.
Very soon. Before I quit, I'll hit 2,000 pounds.
I was listening to an interview with a guy who had that national record, and he said, "What's success?" And he said, 500 gallons of water a day.
It takes a lot.
Really? 500 gallons a day?
I don't do
to get
that.
To that 2,700.
But 7,500 gallons a day per plant, yes.
Wow. All right. Jason Terry, congratulations on the pumpkin, and congratulations on the football championship as well. That probably means more to you than the pumpkin does. So either way, congratulations. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Oneida basketball coach Jacob King. Welcome back to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network. We are live from the C. Michael Lay Technology Center in Helenwood. Thank you for being with us. I'm Ben Garrett alongside Tim Smith and Rick Keaton, and we're joined now by Oneida men's basketball coach Jacob King. And Coach King, you lost some seniors last year, but you got the nucleus, most of the nucleus of your team back. You got a big senior class, a lot of experience, and a lot of they've played together for a long time as well. Moving up in classification this year, we'll talk more about that in a minute, but talk first about your team, about the experience you got coming back, and what you're looking forward to as we get this season started.
Well, this group of seniors have been playing together since they was old enough to play basketball, so we've got a good nucleus. Got Grady Keaton coming back started every game as a freshman. He's going to be a big part too and be in there in that role with them guys. And I got 2 other sophomores that I'm expecting a lot out of this year. Feel good about my team. Like you said, going into AA, I feel good that we got some guys that's got some experience. If we were starting all over again, it would be very tough. And I'm not saying it's not going to be tough. It's going to be the toughest challenge that I faced yet as a coach at Oneida going into what we're getting ready to go into. But I like my team. I've got some guys that are ready for that next level. I got some guys that's going to have to see it first before they realize how hard we're going to have to work. But I like where we're at right now.
So talk about specifically, and you can mention as many players or as few players as you want to individually, but really you've got all the pieces as far as you've got post players, you've got point guard play, you've got good defenders. I mean, inside and outside, you've got experience.
We do, and I think what we've been used to in single A is we've been the top dog and kind of bullied people. Now we're going to have to figure out how to play hard every single night. There's not going to be a night that you can take off. But I've got leaders, senior leaders, and all them seniors that's been in every situation that you can think of in the last 3 years that I think are ready for that challenge. Now, does that mean we're going to win? No, it don't, but I think they will bring the fight. If we don't, it's going to be a long season. But, you know, you got Mason Keaton, who's a 3-year starter, going to be a 3-year starter as my point guard. He's one of the best I've seen. He's one of the best I've coached. It's hard to keep him out of the lane. And then you've got Caden Rector, who's just a natural-born leader. You've got Landon Lindbergh, who brings energy. You got Gavin Keaton, who's had injury-prone. I think last year was his first year of not being injured any. He's probably in the best shape he's ever been, but he might be my smartest player on the floor as far as seeing things. And then you got Hayden Bronner, who's just a big guy down low that gets the rebounds. He finishes well around the rim. And then I've got some younger guys, Ben Gilbert. You didn't see a lot of him last year. Had a great summer. He's an energy guy. If I tell him to go guard somebody, that's what he's going to do. Then you got big Zachary, who's looks like a grown man. It's only a sophomore who's going to I expect to bring a lot. And then you got Jagan Morgan, yeah, and he didn't see a lot of minutes, but he's going to have to play some this year because he's going to be my starting point guard next year. So I've got a good nucleus. I just think we got to be ready to play as hard as we can every single possession and not back down. We've played tough competition in the past. We've played the Campbell Counties. We've played the Yorks, but it's not just 1 or 2 nights a year. It's going to be 1 or 2 nights a week, and we've got to maintain that intensity the whole time.
So, we talked a little bit already about how you're moving up. And so as you move up, you're going to have a couple of teams in your district with you. Alcoa's got a kid that's going to be a Mr. Basketball finalist, probably most people would think. Austin East has got a kid who we saw in football Thursday night who may be in that conversation as well. So just because of that, a lot of people would write off Mason Keaton, whereas if you were still in single A, everybody would be saying that he's got a chance to be a Mr. Basketball finalist candidate. Where do you see him fitting into that picture with some of these great individual players?
He's right there with them. I mean, you got athletes but they've played on the level that we're getting to play on this year all the time. They're used to it. I don't think Mason's going to have a problem. This summer we played 14, 15 games, played one single. Everybody was double, triple, and bigger, and he held his own. Like I said, I ain't seen many that's been able to keep him out of the lane when he wants to go. I mean, he's a lot like his dad. He can get to the rim when he wants to. He shoots it well, but I think he's right there with him.
And let's talk about your point, your post game. You've got Gavin Keaton who obviously he's an inside player, but he can step out and really shoot the ball extremely well from the perimeter. And you already mentioned he's in good shape and healthy now.
Better than he's been. He needs to get better.
Well, last year he kind of worked most of the season overcoming that injury. It felt like this year I would expect that he's going to be ready to go. And then you got Hayden Bronner, who has really had some big moments the last couple of years. And that's not even mentioning Jesse Zachary. How do you work those guys and maintain a balance at the post?
Well, we've got 3 or 4. I'm going to play Ben some at the 4. We can rotate. I'm going to just go with a hot hand that night. But I think we'll have to rotate to give the way we play, give our other 2 starting posts a break. I have no problem with playing Jesse and Ben at the same time together. I want to do a better job at putting Gavin in better position for him to be successful. You'll see him running a lot of the high post area. That where he can set some picks and pop instead of rolling. He's better when he's facing the basket instead of his back to the basket, and give him opportunity. I like to spread the thing out a little bit more and not keep it so compacted around the rim where I can use the advantage of my guards to get to the rim without having to worry about my post player and their defender being there, kind of spread it out a little bit more. But I'm going to have guys that can shoot. And Hayden Bronner can shoot the 3 too, and he's going to have the green light just like Gavin. But we're going to do some different things. We will still try to pound it down in the post when we can.
So you've talked about your sophomores a little bit. Grady Keaton last year, he came on strong as a freshman. Nobody was surprised by that. Some people say, and this is really unfair to Grady or to Mason, but there are people who will say, now you just wait. When Grady gets Mason's age, and they take it from there. Talk about the progression he's made from last year as a freshman to this year as a sophomore. He's been there and done that now, and he's more experienced than he was coming in last year.
He's got a senior body. He's worked on his body. He's gotten stronger. I had 5 kids squat 300 pounds the other day on our last day of lifting. You don't hear that much from a basketball team. Grady's stronger. He's physical. He's going to be the guy that I call on a lot to guard the best player when we go out and play. Grady, you can't compare Grady and Mason. They're 2 different players. Grady's a natural-born 2 guard. Mason's a point guard. Everybody knows that. But they're going to really play off each other this year, I feel. You can see that Grady's pushing Mason in conditioning and practice, and Mason's doing the same for him, but they're both being leaders. And I like that Grady is becoming a leader as a sophomore. You need them underclassmen to be leaders sometimes. So I expect big things from him. His best games was against the double and triple A's we played last year, if you go back and look at it. So I think he's ready for the challenge of playing up.
So speaking of playing up, you've already talked about it. Last couple of years, you lost Harriman, and everybody said, well, it's going to be 09 and nobody else. Well, Oliver Springs proved that wrong 2 years ago. But this year it's an entirely different level of competition. You got Alcoa, you got Austin East, and then everybody else. You got Gatlinburg Pittman in there. Realistically, where do you – maybe this is an unfair question to ask you. Where do you see your team in that mix right now?
How about doing this? How about ranking them without yourself? Don't put yourself in there. Rank them who you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I would have Alcoa. They're returning everybody from a state champion. Probably added some more. A lot of people is saying E. I'm not. Gatlinburg Pittman's probably your second best team. And I would go AE. Don't really know a lot about. I know Eagleton's a new program. I don't even know if they got any seniors yet, so I'd probably go Pigeon Forge Eagleton.
So I have heard people say, Oneida will be lucky to get out of the district this year. Now, I know you like it when people think that way outside of Scott County. What do you got to show those people?
We got to go play and be who we are. We got, like I said earlier, we got to compete every night at a high level. Do I see us getting out of the district? Yeah, I do. But this is what me and my players know. Last year, all the pressure was on us to try to get to the state tournament. It was almost more than I could handle at times, and them too. We ain't got no pressure. Let's just go play. Now, will we take some lumps? Maybe. But I bet when we play again, we'll figure out a way to compete and have a chance to win. I think we got a shot to make it to the region. If we can make it to the region, we can make some noise, because I feel like we might be in the toughest district. Not only are we AA, but we might be in the toughest district in AA.
I agree with that.
I would agree.
Certainly do.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. So with that step up in competition, you going to do anything different from a strategy standpoint, or is it still going to be the Jacob King style of basketball that we're used to?
We will run when we get the opportunities, but it's like I talked to Mason the other day. There's going to be times where we got to limit the other team's possession and slow it down and really work the basketball just to keep them from having so many offensive possessions. Probably won't press as much. You may see more zone. You will see more zone. We're going to try to do some different stuff to scheme and game plan against these teams. Do I feel like 1 through 5 and 6 I can compete? Yes. I think it's when you go 8, 9, 10 is where these bigger schools will have an advantage against us. I feel like any 5 I put on the floor, we'll battle with that 5 for a while. I just got to get my bench where we don't lose nothing when I sub and they sub.
And that actually leads to what was going to be another question that I asked you, and that was how many you intend to play. What do you think you're going to see in your rotation this year?
7, 8, maybe 9 some nights. But, I mean, I feel right now, I mean, I've got 7 or 8 kids that are physically ready, and I've got 1 or 2 that's not. They've got the knowledge and the know-how. They got to get stronger. They got to get quicker. They got to get faster. But that's what I'm saying. Some of us are ready for the challenge. Some of us ain't ready yet.
I think you've already answered this question, but everybody is familiar with your seniors and a couple of those players that played last year. Mm-hmm. Name it 1 player, 2 players if you want to, whatever you want to name, that maybe folks aren't as familiar with that are going to step up this year, if just because you have to have them step up this year.
Caden Rector, he played a lot last year, and like I said, he's a leader. Him and Landon have got to make shots consistently. And the reason for that is what we're trying to do offensively is really attack the rim. And if they're not hitting shots, then they can pack it in and it'll give us trouble. Not only them, but Gavin's got to hit them. I mean, we got to be able to shoot the basketball as well as we've ever shot it. And them 2 I'm really going to count on, especially in them corner shots and making them. But them 2 right there are going to be a key for us and how successful we will be. But Mason and Grady got to do their thing with Gavin and Hayden.
All right. I know Tim Smith's looking forward to this. He said he's tired of calling 09 at Wartburg games, with no offense to Wartburg at all. He's ready to call big-time basketball games.
I don't know if I'll be able to keep up, to be honest with you. I mean, honestly, I've watched AA. Sometimes you watch the AAA, and I think, am I even going to be able to keep up with this? But are you all – I mean, you talk about playing 8 or 9. I mean – you'll have to, right? I mean, to keep up the speed of the game. When will it first sink in? You look at that schedule. When's it first going to sink into your kids? The speed. I mean, like you say, you played York, you played Campbell County, and that's similar. But those were not district games. You know, they didn't carry a weight or an importance. Now the district games are going to be just fast. Mm-hmm. And how long do you think it'll take to get used to that?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've got these kids these seniors, they've traveled all over the place and played good competition and travel ball. It's different when it's high school and it means a little more. I don't know. I guess we'll find out that first district game. I've not even looked at the schedule. I mean, I have, but I've not looked at it today. I can't tell you when our first district game is. I just know we play Saturday, 2 games at Sunbright with only 6. I'm going to play with 6 guys. One of them's a freshman. So, and then my next thing's on York, the 14th, and then we'll take it down 1 game at a time. I mean, that's why I've always been.
District tournaments, Alcoa.
Yeah.
So they got that alphabetical advantage on the district tournament. You go there first, and then you talked about if you can get out of the district, the other region. Now, you could wind up traveling to Johnson County or Hampton, I think, is in the other one, right? So if you satellite out those first round games, you could have quite a trip ahead of you if you do get into the region.
But if we do, you know, when I talked about us playing in probably the toughest district, and if we can get to that region, we've played the best. Mm-hmm. Maybe we get a shot to play one of our teams again to go to the region. You know, you can't never tell. A big key for us this year is injuries. We got to stay away from injuries. That's very big. But, you know, we'll just go play and compete. I know these kids. Like I said, I feel good about the group I've got going into AA. Now, if it had been next year, we'd struggle a whole bunch. But with this group leading us into it, they'll help these younger guys along, and we'll be able to compete again next year. But I'm looking forward to it. It's a challenge. Like I said, I ain't got no pressure. But I know my kids, they'll fight. They're winners, and they'll compete.
What an opportunity, though. Just the
opportunity.
Yeah.
It's the venues, too. Mm-hmm. Over the years I've been at all those venues. They're just different than so many of the smaller gyms that you've been in. Alcoa has this great big area then you get used to. It's one of my favorite gyms to go to. Gatlinburg-Pittman is another good facility to go to. And you look around, you think, oh, my, you know, I sort of like this after you see it a couple of times. May not be after you play there, but that you have to, not only the teams and the players that they put out there, the venues that you get to play in are a whole lot different than your players have been used to.
Well, they're newer, probably. They got newer facilities.
Newer,
they're
bigger.
Yes. Talking to Mason here and talked today, he says he likes playing the bigger gyms. The smaller ones he don't play as well. You go back and look, and he's telling the truth. So we'll see. And it's like I said, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be tough. It's going to be nights where it keeps me up all night. And not only me, but Coach Pike, Coach Slavin. I added a new assistant, one of my former players, Zachary, not Jesse's cousin. Why can't I think of his name right now? He was a senior my first year back. I just call him Coach Zachary.
There you go.
But he's going to help me. And I'm looking forward to it. That's all I can say. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll let you get out of here. I know you're probably wanting to go to a middle school game, but before you do, I've always wondered about the dynamic. You said you're going to play at Sunbright on Saturday, and you're going with a short roster, obviously. Real practice started today for Tennessee high school basketball teams. What's it like when you're still missing all your players and you got the start of the season coming? I know you're not saying, Jimmy May, I hope you guys get beat. You want them to go as far as they can. At the same time, you're not going to cry to get those guys back. What is that like sitting and waiting on them to finish up in the playoffs?
It's a bittersweet thing. I want them to go as far as they can because it carries over. But then when I get to practice and I ain't got enough to even hardly go live 5-on-5, I want them there. I hope the best for them. It's hard sometimes. And that coach is not Zachary. It's Zach Kazee.
Gotcha. Which he is a cousin.
He is a cousin. Sorry, Zach. But he wanted to help. And anytime a former player wants to help, I'm more than glad to help. Let them help us. But when them football guys get back, that's what I talked to my team at the end of practice today. Our practice has got to be more intense and harder than they've ever been, so we can get ready. I mean, every day, I said, look, we need to have some blood, some skin burnt from diving on the floor. We got to play at that level and that intensity. So when they get back, things will change. A lot of shooting and running today. You can't do much with 9. Mm-hmm. But we'll go play Saturday and see where we're at. I'm not looking. We play Loudon. We play CAK, who's both good ball teams, and it'll be a challenge. But I'm just want to get on the floor and run up down the floor a little bit.
All right, Coach Jacob King, good luck.
Hey, thank you. We're going to need it.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Oneida football players Levi James and Cam Cash. Welcome back to the Round Table on the IH Sports Network. I'm Ben Garrett alongside of Tim Smith and Rick Keaton, and joined now by our First National Bank Player of the Game from Friday night, Levi James, second-time Player of the Game in Levi. And a guy who has been here, Tim, almost as much this year as Jason Terry was last year.
Yeah.
And that's Cam Cash,
Right.
our Trophy Masters lineman of the game. Third time, Cam?
Yes, sir.
Third time this season.
I'm going to start with Cam. If that's okay, Cam. Is that okay, Levi? So I'll start with Cam. Okay, Cam, you've got big shoes to fill because Jackson it was his first time here last week, but, I mean, he has a YouTube channel. You have a YouTube channel?
No, I don't.
See, yeah, but you are a fan favorite.
Oh, I love it.
You're right. You'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a fan favorite, so we understand. That's why we get you on here. But one thing I noticed in the Bledsoe County game, and I thought, I'm going to ask Cam about that. It seemed to be, whether you want to use the word chippy or, I don't know, a little extra stuff going on all the time. Is that fair? Was there a lot of that going on in this game against the Warriors?
Yeah. There comes a certain point where I just get tired of it, and I just don't deal with it no more.
Yeah.
And the refs just don't do nothing about it, and
So-
it's just not fair.
How often does it feel that way to you? Have you felt that way every game at some point, or is there some teams that it seems like it happens, it's like they're really doing it and trying to get under your skin?
Every game.
Every game,
Yeah,
okay.
every single game.
Is there a team that gets under your skin more than another?
Probably York.
York?
Yeah.
Would Bledsoe County rank a close second?
Yeah, that was right behind them.
Because it seemed like it wasn't just you. I mean, it was a lot of the linemen, a lot of stuff. I saw. I know Jesse Zachary. I kind of saw where he had a physical type of a imprint when y'all played York, and from some things that were going on. So is that kind of stuff going on in this game as well?
Yeah, Ben had a lot of scratches on him after the game.
Yeah.
It looked pretty rough.
Yeah. So there's just some teams that happens
Yeah.
with. So does it? How do you keep from retaliating and things like that?
Just take a step back and take a deep breath and just go to the next play.
And win the next down, right?
Yep.
Is there anybody on the line in particular, or somebody that's like, guys, we got to keep our calm, we can't do this?
Brady Burke.
Brady.
Yeah, he don't talk.
Okay.
He just tells you to be quiet. And then
All right. Well, that's good. All right, Levi. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you weren't player of the game, but you had the play of the game. It was the end of the first half, and anybody that saw that, it was an incredible interception. And time expired, so sometimes those things get lost in it. I know I said the ball was incomplete, and I stopped looking, and then I think it was John Strunk that said he intercepted that. And we go back and look at the replay, and you just kind of reeled it in with one hand. Talk about that interception.
I don't even think I meant to intercept it. I think I was going to bat it down, and it just got caught on my hand, I think.
It just stuck?
Yeah.
You kind of like Spider-Man?
I guess.
That kind of thing?
Yeah.
You just can't help it. All right, so this game this year, the different games you played a full season this year, how many times do you feel like out of those 10 games we saw the best version of Oneida?
The first game of the year we played pretty good. Greenback we played really good too. I think it was the first half we came out really strong.
Mm-hmm.
TK we played pretty good. Except for some of the second half, they came out and they kind of shocked us, But there's been quite a few games we played.
Okay, but has there been a game where you feel like from start to finish, you all have put it out there and it's just been pretty well perfect from every aspect, or do you feel like there's always something to work on?
I don't think we've played perfect the whole game, any game. We still got a lot of work on and stuff to do.
What about have you watched any about Happy Valley yet?
Yeah, we watched film today.
What do they remind you of any other team you played this year?
Last year when we played Hampton, they kind of remind me of them a little bit. They got a big old fullback, number 34. He's really good. He's really tough.
So looking at it from the defensive aspect, it's another run-heavy team.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? And the wing stuff. What does that mean for you, Cam? You look at that, and that's been a lot of the teams this year. There is some shotgun spread, but a lot of these teams we've been seeing, like York, Bledsoe, they've been lining up and running the football, and that's been a tough stop for us this year.
I like it better than a pass-first offense.
Okay.
I always like everybody just down there in the box, just dogfight the whole game.
Mm.
That's how I like it.
So in watching Happy Valley, do they look like? Is it a big line? Is it similar to another team you've seen as far as the size of the line, or?
They ain't the biggest we've seen.
Okay.
They're in the middle.
Okay. Is it a team that you feel like it could go either way?
I feel like the upper hand's on our side.
What gives you the upper hand, you think?
Our offense.
Okay.
I think we can stop them on defense, then we can just pass on them on offense.
Okay. So you on both sides, obviously. So offensively, protecting Caden, how's that going to be? Do they look like they have a strong rush, or do you feel like it's –
they don't really.
Okay. Okay. All right. What about offensively for you, Levi? What did you see on the film that you think you can take advantage of?
They usually play man coverage, so that's always good. They don't got that much help, so it should be good for us wide receivers to get us the ball a lot.
Most of the time, they just got one safety up.
Yeah, if you're in trips or something like that, they're just manned up on all three. So.
Okay. What about running wise? You think we'll be able to run on them, Cam?
I think so.
Yep. And I know Xander was just getting back last week, and so one thing we talked about this at the beginning of the year. You guys go 7-3, and a lot of people didn't have you at 7-3. And if you add into that, you lose your starting running back at the beginning of the year. T.J. Meredith is supposed to be, starting running back, safety, and that's a big loss on both sides of the football. You factor that in, and you guys still are able to do this. Why do you think that happened this year? Why do you think you guys were able to overachieve like that?
Younger guys stepping up, like Xander. He helps out on running the ball on offense. On defense, Tanner Butcham stepped up to play TJ's spot.
Mm-hmm.
Xander played a real big role in stepping up. And then Caleb, He stepped up and started running the ball too.
Caleb Reagan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What about Levi? Offensively, there's a lot of you guys that are kind of strong-headed, right? But you have a quarterback that kind of keeps everything together. Talk about the leadership of Caden Rector with you guys out there.
Well, he's a great leader. He keeps us in line. If somebody don't know a play, he knows about every position on the field, so he can help out a lot there too.
What about he's a dual threat. Is he? Do you think he's scary? If you were on defense working against Caden, would you be more worried about his run or his arm?
I mean, I wouldn't want to tackle him. You seen in that game TKA, he ran that boy over, so I don't know if I'd want to tackle him, but he can sling it too. I mean, he has an arm on him.
Yeah. I mean, the last couple of weeks, it seems like he's even been going out looking to do that, doesn't it?
I think he looks for it now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it seems like a lot of you guys are like that too. I mean, you defensively, you're coming in there, you're trying to inflict some damage as well, right?
Yeah, I usually have to get a little mad first. First, I'm just trying to take him down, but then I get a little mad or something. And
What gets you mad? What's something in a game that's like, you know what, that I'm crossing over, I'm mad this is going to happen?
Usually when I mess up is really what I get mad about.
Okay. Cam, you said you get frustrated sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Refs just really what makes me mad.
The refs.
Yeah,
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
Yeah.
We all agree with that, no doubt.
All right. So this week you got the trip to play Happy Valley, and it'll be the third time Oneida has played up there. You've talked about what it looks like. So what does it mean this year? You guys are both juniors this season. You've got another year ahead, but what about these seniors makes you want to go out there and get another one for them? Cam first.
I just hate to see them go. I grew up with them my whole life.
Yeah.
Played football with them. It'd be a sad day when they.
Is there one of them? Is there one of them that's kind of took you under their wing and been a guy that's just been really good to you?
Lindbergh.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Levi? Is there one of them that's just really been a leader for you?
I mean, probably Lindbergh, but we've been real close friends for a long time, so it's kind of always been like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully you'll get another game for them this week when you go to Happy Valley. I'll see if these guys got any final questions for you.
Just a quick question. All things play out. You get the win this week, either in the second or third round. The two teams, York or Bledsoe County, which one do you guys really want to get a chance to play again this year?
I'd say York.
York?
Yeah, same. Probably York.
Good.
That's how it match up. If you get a win, you're probably going to be going to York.
It would. So, Cam, I got to ask you one question before you get out of here. You've been up here more this year in that seat than anybody else, any other player has been. So where do you get your athletic ability?
I don't think my dad.
Well, I'm glad that you just went ahead and went there, because I was going to ask if, let's say, 25 years – how long has it been? 25 years ago. Let's say 25 years ago. Do you think if the round table had existed back then, you don't think he would have been up here 2 or 3 times?
I watched some of his high school basketball. I don't think he started as a senior.
Oh, you didn't have to go there?
I don't think he did.
Wow. All right. On a scale of 0 to Bledsoe County, 0 being you're just calm and cool and relaxed, and Bledsoe County being, they got you fired up, how mad do you get when newspaper guys misspell your name? That's happened a time or two this season.
Like a 4,
Really?
3.
So not mad enough to go whoop them.
No.
Well, that's good. All right. Levi James, our first National Bank Player of the Game. Cam Cash, our Trophy Masters lineman of the game. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll switch to Scout High football right after this. Welcome back to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network. I'm Ben Garrett alongside Tim Smith and Rick Keaton. And Tim, every time we look back there, Kevin Akers is holding up that trophy that he got from winning the picks panel.
Looks a lot like an empty water bottle.
We have got Mason Llewellyn, who is our Trophy Masters lineman of the game from Thursday night. Second time this season for Mason being lineman of the game. Had the big block punt. And we got Tyler Atkins, who was our first National Bank player of the game. And Rick, what Tyler was telling us during the break, I had to ask him because I didn't know. You already knew, but, I'm always in the dark. Mm-hmm. First start that he made on Thursday night, and Tyler, man, you were all over the field on Thursday night. Was that a situation where you were making the most of that first start, a lot of pent-up frustration, ready to let it all out? You took advantage of the opportunity for sure.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I was just playing ball, I guess.
Well, played ball well.
Yeah, and they were both involved in a really big play there in the first half. The block punt, the scoop and score. I mean, so we picked the right two to be on the program tonight.
I think so. Tell Harris he did a good job.
Or Woody, whichever one of them picked, you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I remain neutral, so, I mean, if you want to, this is for next year, you guys are both coming back. If you want me to get more involved in the pick, you just tell me that through the week,
Yes, sir.
and I'll be watching.
Are you suggesting that they slip you some money or something?
No, I didn't say monetary. I mean, bring me a water bottle or something like that,
Okay.
Keep hydrated there.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah. Mason, tell us about the block punt. Was that something that you'd put in during the week that coaches felt we could get the block?
No, I just shredded the block, and he was just there, so I just blocked it, I guess.
There you go. And tell us about when you saw the ball on the ground. Jump on it first or pick it up and try to go? What was your first thought?
Well, I was going to jump on, then I heard everybody behind me, pick it up. So I just took it to the house, I guess.
Way to follow the direction of teammates, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You got the first start. Tell us what it was like. The first play, the first series. The defense goes out there, and we actually, on downs, get the ball back from Austin East. Tell us about that very first series of your defensive start.
Well, I mean, I don't know, really. We were just getting in the backfield, getting pressure on the quarterback, and then our offense came in and scored.
Mm-hmm.
I think it set the tone good for the game.
Mason, as we look at the game the other night, I said during the broadcast, and I still think it to this day, the defense did a real good job of getting to the ball, where the ball was at. Maybe we just couldn't contain and hold enough jerseys, some of their better athletes there like that. But what did the team do is what in my perception is we got to the ball really well?
Yeah, we were planning on getting most hats on the ball and stuff, but we couldn't tackle.
Yeah, it seemed like we always had 5 guys around the ball all the time.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Did we get tired especially when we got to the fourth quarter and the game was doing a lot of running up and down the field a lot?
Absolutely, yeah. We got tired. We were having to chase them down and stuff like that.
I want to give an honorable mention. I did it after the game the other night. I want to give an honorable mention to a guy who's been in this seat a couple of times this year, Alton Whaley. He really had a strong senior performance. His first ever start at quarterback. Tell us about how he prepared through the week and then how he played on on Thursday night.
Well, he was just doing really good at practicing, working on throwing the ball and getting the plays down and stuff, and then he came out in the game and executed and did really well.
And there were several times that he carried the ball. He was carrying 2, if not 3 or 4 defenders with him to pick up the extra yards. I mean, does that motivate the rest of the team to say, hey, let's put forth the same effort?
Yes, sir.
Would it of course the season's over with now, but would it have been nice to have seen Alton play quarterback more through the course of the year?
I wish we would have had him at running back all year, really.
Yeah.
Because he can throw the ball, but he can run that thing good.
Well, he had, 3 rushing touchdowns Thursday night? I mean, and one of them was I think 25 yards might have been his longest touchdown, but he done a real good job with that. There was some adversity. You didn't have Tommy Fitzgerald. He couldn't go, so that meant Michael Bond had to go a lot. And a lot was put on top of Alton the other night. A to be the quarterback. Design runs, he did a lot of those. 20 carries, I think, in the game the other night. And then also he threw several passes. What was said at halftime by the coaches, by the rest of the players, when we get into the second half? What do we need to do? Who were the main leaders of the Highlander football team coming out at halftime?
Really, Alton Whaley, to be honest. Alton Whaley, Ryland, and Jaden. And Peyton stepped up. He stepped up and did really good. So they was talking to him at halftime. They had to move him at corner because Keegan got hurt. I think it was the first drive. Mm-hmm. And then that was really about it. We just came into halftime. They would just tell us to keep fighting,
And the first three names you mentioned, they were seniors.
Yes,
They
sir.
are seniors, I guess. But Peyton is back next year, and I think we'll expect a lot of him on to get to touch the ball and also play defense.
Yes, sir.
Who did you look at? Who was your inspiration at halftime? Who were you looking at saying, hey, he's a guy we need to play well in the second half?
Alton, Jaden Rowland, like they told us not to get satisfied with what we did in the first half, was start doing it in the second half.
Well, what were the biggest things during the game that you felt we had to overcome? Was it how well Austin East blocked? I'm not sure that they blocked real well, but what was the biggest 2 or 3 things that we had to overcome with them?
Their blocking was pretty good, but keeping the outside contained, they did good blocking the defensive end. That's why they can get the outside stuff.
I said it during the game. I've already said it tonight. When in the first half they really focused on going 3 wide and a single to the other side. That really spread the defense out, made our linebackers thin. Were there any changes to that? Did we make a change at halftime to try to figure out how that we can control still inside the box against them?
Yeah, just like the defensive ends do their job and the backers read and stuff like that.
Well, I was just asking over here. You didn't have Tommy Fitzgerald, who is certainly one of the leading tacklers and I guess brings a lot of energy on the football field. What did you think about the players that had to step up to replace Fitzgerald the other night?
Michael Bond, he did pretty good. He had quite a bit of tackles and stuff like that. And then Desmond Bowen had to go down at backer. He does good.
I understand that Alton wanted to play a whole lot on defense, and the coaches made the decision not to do that. Was he overly upset that he didn't get to play defense?
I think so, but he had to step up on offense and stuff. Try not to keep him tired and stuff.
He's been quite a competitor this whole year, and he got through the season basically, and the knee is still good, right, Tyler? I mean,
Yeah.
he went the whole season, really didn't get seriously injured, so that's a good thing for Alton. Now that the season is over with, what do each one of you want to do during the off season and in the spring? Is it the weights? Is it the speed? Is it the conditioning? Tyler, you go first. What do you want to do to be a more complete ball player next season?
A little bit of everything. Go in the weight room, work on my footwork, and get better all around.
Are you capable, you think, of adding 10 pounds?
Yeah, I've been working on it right now. I've already got to 160.
Okay, well, you're a little bit more than what I thought. And Mason, how about you? What do you want to work on?
I know that me and most of the sophomores were already going to try to get in the weight room and get more athletic and physical and stuff like that.
We lose these. We started, I think, with 9 seniors. We lose 9 seniors in the course of the year. Who do you see stepping up and being an important player and maybe a team leader next year?
Peyton, Tyler, Gus King, he'll probably step up too.
You just put a lot of pressure on you, Tyler. Who do you see as players that will step up for next season?
Peyton for sure. Keegan Bolin will step up a lot. Mason will. Myself. Dawson, if he comes back, I say he'll be a good team leader. I mean, I feel like everybody's going to step up and evolve.
He's sitting out there in the audience. What would you like to say to the senior right there who helped carry the team against Austin East on Thursday night? Let's not get mushy with this, but what would you like to say to him in terms of what his leadership has meant?
It's meant a lot, really. Both of them back there. I didn't play football last year or really my freshman year either, and I come out to weightlifting with them. They made me fall in love with football again, enjoy playing the sport, and they lead the team very well this year, especially Alton Whaley, pushing everybody.
And when he says both of them, he's talking about Jaden Mays as well
Jaden Mays
as
sitting
Alton
there
Whaley.
Yeah, to his left out there like that. Mason, what has it meant to have Alton as that team leader? And Jaden Mays got all the talent in the world. I wish we could have got the ball to him a whole lot more. But what has that leadership meant to you?
Just like Tyler said, just like making us fall in love in football and pushing and bring more energy into us and stuff like that.
Will you go to him as you're walking down the halls out of school over the winter and spring? Will you go to him and keep asking him for advice? Looking at him as now the older brother who's now graduated from high school, will you keep asking him for advice?
Yeah, I'll do that with every senior and stuff like that.
Well, that's great. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I ask them for advice even when they graduate or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Any bit of advice to help me get better, I'll take.
An honorable mention, sitting back there in the audience tonight, Alton Whaley, who had obviously your very best game, and I'm sorry you didn't get to play defense as much as you wanted, but 2 thumbs up, okay?
Can I just say, talking about the seniors this year, Scott High, they moved the program a step forward. I mean, you got those wins this year. You were right there in a couple other games that you just almost had, and they leave and they have moved the Highlander program a step forward, and now they turn it over to you guys and are asking you guys to do your part, to work in the off season, get in there in spring and work and do what they did for the Highlanders and pick up even more wins next year and just keep it moving forward. And I think it's great to have those 2 guys and the other guys that aren't here tonight, but that are the seniors, that give that example of here's how you take something forward, and you guys keep doing it. So I think it's great that you recognize what they did for you.
Indeed.
Tyler, you mentioned we said that you got your first start on Thursday night at Austin East, and you had mentioned during the break that it was because you made a position change. Where did you start and what did you move to on Thursday?
Well, I was playing nickel, which is basically like strong safety or whatever, and then I actually played in a JV game for fun. I was just like, I want to play DN. Coach Wright, and then I tried there. He liked me there, so he started practicing me there and started working with the DN. So
pretty good decision. So do you wish you had made that move earlier in the season? He probably wishes he had moved you earlier in the season.
If I would have started there earlier in the season, I would have more time to put on more weight. Yeah. But I just really use my speed to get around people.
Okay. So what do you think as you look ahead to next year? You're going to be a senior.
Yes, sir.
You think you'll be at defensive end?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We should mention both of you guys had at least 1 sack. I think you had 2, and Mason, you may have had 2 as well. Cherry's a tough guy to bring down, so that's
quick
a credit.
And physical.
Yes, absolutely. Way more physical than I would have thought that he would be for what his size
too.
is. Yeah. Yeah, and Mason, we had you on last earlier in the season, I think maybe after the Knox Central game. At that time, you were just trying to work your way into the rotation to get some playing time. Safe to say now at this point, as the season comes to a close, you've earned that. Next year, you're going to come back as a junior, and you're not going to be that kid just coming off his freshman season anymore that's hoping to get some playing time. You're probably going to be among the team leaders at line, even though all the linemen that played this year are coming back, so there's a lot of competition. What are you looking forward to next year as this program tries to take that next step forward that Tim talked about?
I'm going to try to start on defense and stuff like that, but I'll be fine with the rotations and stuff.
All right. So Mason Llewellyn, our Trophy Masters lineman of the game, and Tyler Atkins, First National Bank player of the game. Thank you guys for joining us. Oh, by the way, wait a minute. Hang on 1 second. Before we leave, we got to talk about the playoffs on Friday night. Now, I'm going to ask you guys. Now, we could take a break and let you guys slide out of the way. But ordinarily, when we come to the end of the program, we got cheerleaders sitting where you guys are sitting, and they tell us who are going to win the Friday night games. Do you guys want to take a shot at this? Yeah. I'm not trying to compare you to cheerleaders. You tell us. You help us pick the winners Friday. Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. So we've talked about Oneida. Oneida's going to be playing Happy Valley. We're not going to ask you to pick the winner of Oneida and Happy Valley, but Oneida will be playing at Happy Valley, Tim Smith, and we've touched on it a lot already. 7 o'clock start on Friday night up in the edge of Elizabethton.
Teams have played twice. They won in Happy Valley. We won in Oneida consecutive years in 17-18, so this will be the third matchup between the two.
And on the same side of the bracket, you got Polk County, the number 4 seed from Oneida's region, playing Hampton. They're the 1 seed. So this is where you guys come in, Hampton and Polk County. I don't know if you guys know a thing about Class 2A football. Who's going to win that football game?
Hampton.
What you think so? Tim, I would agree with that. Would you?
I do think they will, but I think they're going to be surprised at what they get from Polk County.
Rick?
Yeah, I go with Hampton. Yeah.
So, and I was thinking about this earlier, Tim. To me, if I look at
that's
these,
the opposite side of the bracket.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this earlier, and to me, I think York's probably pretty close to a guaranteed winner, even though Eagleton has improved a lot. But those other 3 games are going to be interesting, and yeah, I wouldn't say Hampton's going to be a guaranteed winner on Friday.
No, I mean they better not take them for granted, because they're going to line up and play Polk County. Talking about them, they're well coached, long time coached. They're going to do what they do, and Meigs County struggled with them, and I mean that's a very good team.
Meigs County, very good team.
Yeah, so I mean
10-0 team.
You better not take them for granted. We got past them in the late going and held on. So, and Eagleton going to York, it's kind of like it doesn't happen as much in high school as it does in the middle school type thing. But York's 10-0. They're going to see Eagleton coming in. That Eagleton team has taken a step forward every game this year. Probably not going to be able to do much, but York did go 3 quarters with a close game the other night. So, Coach Derwin-Wright, though.
Pretty good football coach.
Yeah, pretty good
So
coach.
that is the game that's on the same side of the bracket.
That's
so
right.
You guys have seen Eagleton play. So what do you think, Mason? Eagleton against York. You haven't seen York in person, but
saw them actually scrimmage.
Yeah, we scrimmaged.
yeah, that is right. You did see them in a scrimmage. So you are familiar with both teams. What do you think about that one?
York is physical.
And but
Yeah.
when we scrimmaged
You're
them,
right about
they
that.
didn't even have their quarterback. So they're a real physical team.
How about it, Tyler?
York, they got some physical running backs, and when we played them, they didn't have their quarterback, so they just see what they can do with him.
And
Yeah.
their defensive end, he's pretty good.
Yeah. Would you agree, Rick?
Oh,
York,
yes.
York over Eagleton? I would as well. I think York. That's probably, if you had to pick a sure bet. If you bet on high school, nobody bets on high school football, I don't think.
Kevin probably does.
Kevin, maybe, yeah.
I don't even know how Eagleton made it into the playoffs, really.
Oh, Eagleton's gotten a lot better. They've
They've
gotten
won like 4 or 5 games this year.
Yeah, they have.
You guys probably were the worst
Yeah.
situation they had. I mean, considering your game ended in the third quarter, they got beat worse by Tellico Plains, but they went 4 quarters. You guys were the only ones that really just completely smacked Eagleton down like you did.
So the other game in that bracket in Class 2A is going to be South Green going to Bledsoe County. Now, Tim, this to me is interesting. Most people coming in would have said South Green was going to be that number 2 seed. They've got the better record, but Happy Valley beat them in overtime. That was an upset. And so Oneida against Happy Valley. I don't know what you're not a coach, but you would rather have Happy Valley than South Green, right?
I would, but I would, they're South Green's Rebels. They've got their hands full. What we saw in Bledsoe County Friday night is a team that has just built steam and built momentum. And like I said at the beginning, I'm probably going to be shocked if them in York don't wind up having just a beauty in the quarterfinals.
Well, something else about South Green, not to bring up games from the past because it's been a few years now where chains mysteriously moved and all that, but South Green plays a lot better at home in the postseason than they do on the road in the postseason. So going down to Bledsoe County is going to be tough. But what do you guys think? Would you take Bledsoe County or would you take South Green, Mason?
I'm gonna do. I want to say Bledsoe, but I want to see South Green win.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
say Bledsoe win. They played pretty good Friday against Oneida.
Yeah. Rick?
Bledsoe.
I mean, but it could happen. Mason might get the steal on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Bledsoe County. So, but like Mason, I wouldn't care a bit to see South Green win that game. That would shake things up a little bit.
That'd be great.
Yeah. All right, let's flip to the to Class 3A now, and you guys are familiar with most of these teams, and we'll start with Union County. Let one slip away a little bit there in overtime, and Union County slips into the playoffs as that 4 seed. I know you guys would like to get that one back. Unfortunately, can't get them back. So Union County goes to Gatlinburg-Pittman. What do you think about that one?
Gatlinburg-Pittman.
Yeah, Gatlinburg's a good football team. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, Gatlinburg.
Yeah, Rick?
Good quarterback, 2 D1 receivers, the leading rusher in East Tennessee, and Avila. Yeah, Gatlinburg-Pittman.
I hope Gatlinburg's still playing when we got them scheduled in basketball.
And they may very well be. All right, so Austin East, you guys saw them on Thursday night. Austin East has got to go to Unicoi County. Austin East is pretty good despite the 3-7 record. I don't know anything about Unicoi County personally. What do you think, Mason?
Unicoi, they beat Johnson City.
Mm-hmm.
I say Austin East.
You think Austin East?
They play a hard schedule, too. That's why
they did. They absolutely did. And Rick had alluded to that going into that game, what their opponent's combined record was. They played – yeah, that's a big reason why they were 3-7. Yeah. Rick?
I'm going to go with Austin East. I think they have got the talent to do it, and not knowing anything about the other team, I pick Austin East.
Do you know what town Unicoi County's in, Ben?
I don't.
Irwin. It's Irwin, Tennessee.
Okay.
And it will be Austin East.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Boldly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Johnson County. You mentioned Johnson County already, playing Kingston, another team that you guys are familiar with. A lot of folks coming in weren't too sure what Kingston was going to be able to do this season. had a pretty good season, finishing number 2 to Alcoa. What do you think about that game, Johnson County and Kingston?
Kingston.
Would you agree?
Kingston, yeah, they got some good backs.
Yeah. Rick?
Kingston drew the right straw here. They didn't have to travel all the way up to wherever.
Mountain City.
Mountain City, yeah. I've been there. Don't want to go back. Kingston.
You got to go to Virginia and back
That's
in.
the best. There's another way to do it, but the best, quickest way is through Abington, Virginia. Yeah.
What do you think, Tim?
I'm going to go Mountain City.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Johnson County. Same thing.
But you want to go to Mountain City?
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to.
Nobody
not
wants to
for
go to Mountain
regionals,
City.
because that is a possibility for us. So that's not where I want to be.
And last but not least, Chucky Doak. They get it. How would you like to be in Chucky Doak's shoes? You get into the playoffs. That's every team's goal. And first round, you got to go to Alcoa. What do you think, Mason?
Alcoa.
Yeah.
Alcoa, I say they just go and have fun, enjoy the experience.
Fair enough. Rick? Yeah.
I'm not going to go against Alcoa.
This game will be close until they play that siren. But they do that before the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. So
Alcoa.
Alcoa is going to be able to probably name their score, but Tyler's got a good point. You know, you don't care who you're playing. Obviously you care who you're playing. You want to get a good draw, but just to be there in week 11, that's something. All right. We probably should have asked Kevin Akers to come up here and sit in and pick these and see is the reigning now.
Well, that would be no
Pigskin
fun
Pick'em
because he would
King.
get them all right.
He'd get them all right, yeah.
Well, all right. It's Kevin Akers, our Pigskin Pick'em panel champion. Mason Llewellyn is our Trophy Masters lineman of the game. Tyler Atkins is our first National Bank player of the game. Thank you guys for sitting in, helping us pick these winners. Congratulations on a big game Thursday night to close out the season. Thank you to all of you for watching tonight as we wrap up this episode of the Roundtable. And I'll let you know a programming note next Monday night. We've seen Rusty Yaden. We've seen Jacob King tonight. Next Monday night we'll have both girls coaches on as well as we wrap up our pre-Christmas portion of the Roundtable. For Tim Smith and for Rick Keaton, I'm Ben Garrett saying thank you for watching us. Thank you to Greg Bond, the Scott County School System, Baby J's Pizza, and everybody else who makes tonight possible. And have a great night.